So, hello everybody. My name is Dr. Abide Mishomwe, and today I will be teaching you, or we'll be going through the course microeconomics. Okay, and but before we dive into the concept of microeconomics and touch a little bit on macroeconomics at the introduction, what is the basic idea uh, behind economics? So, economics majorly deals with the concept of scarcity. All right. So when we talk about economics, basically we are discussing about how we tend to, or how individuals, or how firms, or how the society tends to manage its resources or meet its needs based on the limited resources that it has. Okay, so there are some general definitions. Okay, all right. I said there are different definitions of economics. However, I will just focus on a few of them, such as that of Adam Smith, which is a Scottish economist, Alfred Marshall, British economist, Lionel Robinson, a British economist. Then I will also discuss a definition by Abidemi Shomoye, which is me, which is a Nigerian economist. All right, so let's move further. So let's look at that of Adam Smith. So Adam Smith uh, defines economics as the inquiry into the nature and the causes of wealth of nations. Okay, an inquiry into the nature and the causes of wealth of nations. Okay, so to simplify this, when we talk of wealth of nations, what do you think we are referring to? Or today, uh, which nations do we consider wealthy? Okay, I'm sure you can say a nation is considered wealthy if it has natural resources, but you can also say a nation or a country is considered wealthy if it's able to engage in the production of goods and services in such a way that those goods and services are able to meet its societal needs, and they are also able to export those goods and services to other parts of the world. So Adam Smith basically was referring to the wealth of nations to say, hey, a nation could be said to be wealthy if it engages in the production of goods and services, which you could say if that country or that nation is productive. Just take a survey and look at the present countries that you refer to as developed countries. You take a look at them. Okay, you will notice that those nations don't necessarily have natural resources, but those countries have been able to engage or consistently engage in the production of goods and services. All right, so here the definition of Adam Smith was basically talking about the production of goods and services. Okay, so it says here that the goal of economics should be to increase the wealth of nations. The wealth of nations is determined by the productivity of the citizens, and the best way to increase productivity is to promote free trade and competition. So, for you to promote free trade and competition, that will mean that your country are consistently, or either the people or the businesses are constantly engaged in the production of goods and services. Okay. So if it's macroeconomics, much later, when we deal with the macroeconomics, um, we can go in depth about the explanation of um, Adam Smith's definition. All right. What is the second um, definition about Adam Smith about economics? Okay, but before then, I want to talk about one of the things uh, Adam Smith actually talked about um in his concept of economics is the concept of self-interest. Okay, one of the things you should know is that we human beings do things based on self-interest. When I say self-interest, that does not necessarily mean being selfish. Okay, self-interest here deals with taking decisions in such a way that it's going to have a societal impact or it's going to have a benefit on the society. Okay, so here I said Smith introduced the concept of the invisible hand, which describes the self regulatory nature of the market system. That is, as individuals pursue their self interest, the market will correct itself and thus move back to equilibrium, which is demand and supply. In addition, Smith emphasized that this self interested behavior benefits societal impact. So, a self interest basically you taking decisions that will benefit you, but you must have one thing in mind: such decisions should have benefit on the society. Such decisions should have benefit on the community. And such decisions would also have very, very much positive benefit to your own personal life. And I further said, in addition, James M. Buchanan, the proponent of public choice theory and constitutional economics, further said that individuals are in the best position to know what they like and what they don't. That is, understanding what gives them satisfaction and what does not. This enables them to pursue self interest in a purposeful way. Okay? So basically, under Adam Smith, we talk about the self regulatory nature of the market system, which is driven by self interest. We should also translate to societal impact. Okay, so self interest does not simply mean, oh, you are doing things just for yourself. But self interest means that you're doing things for yourself, but it has a positive impact on the society. Okay, so let's take a look at Alfred Marshall's definition. It says economics is defined as the study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. In the ordinary business of life. So I further said it examines the part of individual and social action most closely connected with attaining and using material requisites of well-being. You look at the first part, it says this definition is regarded as the welfare definition of economics. Is regarded as the welfare definition of economics. Marshall's view is that economics studies all the actions people take to achieve economic welfare. In the words of Marshall, man earns money to get material welfare. And this is simply basic. Of course, uh, in a society, it is essential that people live well. Okay? You go to work, you earn some money for yourself. You should be able to take care of yourself and take care of your basic needs. Welfare simply means being able to take care of your basic needs. Okay, being able to take care of your basic needs. Okay, so it is essential that in a society, okay, uh, people's welfare are being met. Okay, either through work or either through the government support. Okay, because it's not all people that would be able to be on the same page. Some people might not have jobs, and so the government has to create a system in such a way that those people's needs are being met. Okay, let's dive ahead. All right, so Leonard Robinson says that economics is a social science that studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means that have alternative uses. Robinson's definition emphasizes that economics is concerned with allocating scarce resources. So I already mentioned what scarcity means. So scarcity relates to unlimited uh, resources as a result of limited resources as a result of unlimited human wants or, or needs or desires. All right, the resources are not enough because we don't seem to be satisfied That's why, for example, if I check your wardrobe, you can have 200 shoes, just as an example, and you will still be willing to buy the an extra pair. Okay, that's just kind of human nature. We don't seem to have enough. Okay, but I mean, we can get to that place where we are content with what we have in such a way that we are not driven by uh, materialism, although we are we are not in the urge to always buy something. Okay, so it allied. So I mentioned about scarcity already. Okay, and resources. And when we say resources in economics, I'm going to get there briefly. We are talking about basically talking about uh, the factors of production. Okay, so when we mention resources, we're talking about the factors of production. We are going to get there shortly. So Robinson's definition emphasizes that economics is concerned with allocating scarce resources to satisfy unlimited human wants and needs. It highlights the role of choice and decision making in the context of resource constraints. Economics is regarded as a social science because it involves the study of human behavior in the context of scarce resources and the choices that people make to allocate those scarce resources. In addition, the process of choosing involves letting go of something in order to satisfy a more pressing need. This concept is known as opportunity cost, which simply means foregone alternative. All right. So, as a result of scarcity of resources, all right, we have to um, arrange our needs. Okay, those things we want to buy, or we have to arrange our needs in order of importance. Okay, in order of importance. And I mean, individuals and companies, even countries do this all the time. Because you don't have, for example, in a country, you don't have uh, enough money to meet all the needs of the society at once. Even when you have all the resources, financial resources to meet all the needs of the country at once, you still have to break it down. What is the most important project? Now, what is the next most important project? Okay, so countries will still need to break it down such that those resources would be enough. Okay, so when we arrange our needs in order of importance, then we can say that what we call a scale of preference. Okay, that's what we call the scale of preference. Okay, so but the process of doing that is what we call opportunity cost. You have to give up something in order to uh, meet meet the need or do something else. There's always an opportunity cost. Okay, you would have to always give up something to meet the need of something else. I'm sure if I ask you, what do you plan doing this morning? You would have list of options. And so you would try to choose, oh, what should I do? Okay, I think I should go to the gym first. Or you can decide that, oh, I think I should go to um, um, the grocery, I should go grocery shopping. Okay, I mean, you have to decide. Consistently, we make decisions trying to decide what is the best thing we have to do at this time. Okay, so let's go on. Um, okay, so I've defined what economics is to you. So economics, when we talk about economics, we are we talk about scarcity. All right, we try to ensure that with the resources that we have, we meet the needs of people. Okay, so I gave you the different definitions. I gave you that of Adam Smith. We talked about inquiring into the nature and causes of wealth of nations. I said wealth of nations here relates to productivity. Productivity here relates to allowing for free trade and competition. For that to be achieved, of course, a country has to engage in the production of goods and services. If a country wants to be wealthy in such a way that that wealth translates into um, the people, because a country could have natural resources and people could still live in poverty. And so, for a country to have wealth, for example, natural resources, and for it to benefit the people, that country must engage in the production of goods and services. It's just, I don't want to say it's just a law, it's just a normal thing to do. Okay. And so I talked about the next one. I talked about a definition by Alfred Marshall. So I said Alfred Marshall's definition relates to, we usually say, welfare definition of economics. Okay, so one of the reasons why you work is so that your needs can be met. Okay, at least you need to have uh, those of your basic needs met. And so I also defined that of Robinson. We define economics as a social science that studies human behavior in relationship with the ends and scarce means that have alternative uses. All right. So, and that discussed about scarcity, which I have talked about. I've already given you a definition of what scarcity is. Okay, here it says it highlights, emphasizes economics concerned with allocating scarce resources, which I've talked about. Okay, let's move on to that of, before I move on to that of the definition of Abidemi Shumwe, I want to say that in economics, we usually say there's a difference between needs and wants. Okay, for your needs, they are required for your survival. Okay, for your needs, you need them for your survival. Okay, for your wants, they're just your desires, things you wish that you have. For example, if you have food on your table, you have good electricity, you have a quality education, you have water, you have um, clothes, you have a comfortable housing. Those are your needs because you need those things for your survival. I include quality education, but of course, you need quality education for survival. You might be able to eat without quality education in terms of not necessarily going to school, but at least you need to, even if you don't go to school, you need to consistently read. Okay, you need to consistently equip yourself with the right information so that you can be able to make the best of all decisions. All right. And so wants are things you desire. For example, you desired the 10th pair of shoe. After having like 9, you want an extra 10. That's just what you want. Maybe because you like the design, or maybe because you're being moved by advertisement. That's just your wants. Okay. Or you want an aeroplane that will fly you around the world. Okay. Or you want a vacation. A vacation is important because it's part of quality education. But even if you don't go on vacation to other parts of the world, you still use to survive. I mean, you have to constantly find a way, you find ways or find a way to make yourself educated so you can be able to see things from a wider perspective and from a global perspective. All right. So let's go on. Now, what does Abidemi say about the definition of economics? So Abidemi says economics means the allocation of scarce resources by the 3 economic agents. I usually say, what are the 3 economic agents? We have individuals or households. When we say household, we are talking about, let's say, like a family. All right, the father, the mother, the kids. All right. So if you have extended family living with you, I mean, when you are a family, the decisions you make affect all of you. All right. That's why we usually say household. When we say individuals, I mean, some people are not married, so they make decisions by themselves. But in economics, we usually say individuals or households because the decision made by an household is just affect all the household, affect everyone. And the decision made by individuals affect that individual. All right. So economics means the allocation of scarce resources by the 3 economic agents. And so from this definition, there are 4 important concepts. You have allocation, you have scarcity, you have resources, and you have economic agents. All right. So I've dealt with economic agents, individuals or households, firms. I didn't mention firms, so individuals or households. You have firms, and you also have the government. Okay, individual, household, the firms, and the government, or we usually say the society. It is the government that is in charge of regulating the affairs of the society. The society means everyone. Okay, so the economic agents are individuals or household. the firms, and the government or the society. All right. These three are always interacting all the time. Those three economic agents. Okay. You go to the store to buy something almost every day, and that store pay taxes to the government every month, all the time. All right. So the government regulates those businesses to ensure that they are not their prices are not too exorbitant, and to ensure that they are paying their taxes, or to ensure that they are meeting with the regulatory standards of what is expected of them. Okay, so the three economic agents are always interacting with one another all the time. All right. So what does allocation mean? Allocation refers to meeting one's needs in order of importance based on available resources. This can be referred to as a scale of preference. I already talked about that. Okay, you allocate your resources in such a way that it is able to meet your most important needs. Okay, you know the things you need the most, and so you have to allocate those resources in such a way that is going to meet your needs. Okay, so arranging those needs in order is important is what is referred to as scale of preference. You will notice that I've not broken down economics into micro and macro. I will do that, but I'm just giving you the basic foundation of the definition of economics. Then I would then further break it down for you. Okay, so basically, I've dealt with economic agent, right? I've dealt with allocation, which refers to allocating your needs in order of its important, which I refer to as scale of preference. I've talked about scarcity, which deals with limited resources as a result of unlimited human ones. Okay, limited resources as a result of uh, uh, unlimited human ones. I usually say to my students, it's not that you don't have resources to go around. Okay, you could have natural resources, but those natural resources need to be consistently translated into goods. Okay, or we could say into goods and services. You need to consistently do that. All right. So if you examine some countries, you will notice that uh, they have natural resources, but they don't have enough goods and services that are being produced to meet the needs of the population and to be able to export those goods to other parts of the world. So countries have to put in systems in such a way that they are consistently producing goods and services that people need, okay, in such a way that it can meet the people's need and it can also meet societal needs, needs of the global populace. You can easily export those goods to other part of the world. All right. So I've dealt with economic agents. All right. I've dealt with allocation. Right. I've dealt with scarcity. Now let me go to resources. Let me go to resources. So when we say So let's say scarcity refers to limited resources due to unlimited wants or needs. I've differentiated between wants and needs. You need it for survival. Wants, those are things that you desire, not necessarily required for survival. Okay, keep this in mind. Scarcity is the main core of economics. I already mentioned that. One of the things I want to mention about need is today technology has become a need, is required for survival. Survival in the sense that yes, if you don't have technology, you will still feed a little, but you need technology to be able to keep yourself up to date. Hardly can people put down their phones. All right, some people are on their phones all day. If you are with something all day, then it's part of your survival. All right. So in today's world, technology has become uh, a survival tool for people. People need it to survive. Now, let's take a look at resources. When we say resources in economics, we refer to the factors of production. Okay, these resources are used in the process of production. The factors of production include, but not limited to, but these are the foremost that you must be accustomed, that you are already accustomed to: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Sometimes we talk about time. All right. In today's world, we can include technology because you need technology and the factors of production. And if you look at growth models, economic growth models, you will find out that we include technology in the equation and the model of economic growth. So it's also a factor in the production process. All right. So when we say land in economics, we say land entails all forms of natural resources. For example, the agricultural land, mineral deposit, forest, seas, sea. The things required in nature is regarded as land. Also, in the building, okay, is under the factors of production is on the land under factors of production, and we say the reward for land is rent. Labor here refers to human input, either mental and physical, that goes into the production process. The reward for labor is wages or salaries. Capital entails the physical tools or equipment used to produce other goods and services. This is known as physical capital. So on the capital, you could have physical capital. Now, physical capital are used to produce other goods and services. For example, buildings, machinery, factories. I usually tell my students my computer is capital. Why is it capital? Because I'm using it right now, I'm using it to teach other people around the world. I'm using it to teach. I'm using it to pass down knowledge to people. And so it's a form of physical capital. It's my physical tool. All right. It's a machine, if I might say. We can also have human or financial capital. Human capital is the skills and knowledge of workers. All right. So if you are able to develop your intellectual capacity, we refer to that as human capital. So a nation needs physical capital. Okay. A nation needs human capital. That's the people who are intellectually capable to be able to run the affairs of the country in different sectors. Okay. For example, this includes education, training, experience, right? We also have financial capital. Financial capital entails the money used to purchase physical capital, and knowledge. The reward for capital is interest. Okay. Entrepreneurship, which is the last one. An entrepreneur brings together all factors of production to provide a good or a service to make a profit. The reward for entrepreneurship is profit or loss. Okay, so these are the factors of production that you must have been accustomed to: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. And on the capital, I say you could have physical capital, and physical capital are used to produce other goods and services, okay, such as machines, such as buildings. So that's types of physical capital. You also have human capital, which relates to the knowledge that you acquire, which relates to your intellectual capability, which relates to your intellectual capacity. You also have financial capital, and the financial capital are the financial resources that you need to purchase physical capital and knowledge, which we refer to as human capital. And I said entrepreneurship brings together a lot of factors of production, and the reward is profit or loss. Okay? So I already talked about economic agents. I said the three main economic agents are individual households, firms, and the government. The individuals consume, firms produce, and the government regulates economic activities. Okay? But one of the role of the government is that the government has to ensure that it provides a suitable environment where the individuals and the firms operate. Okay, you have to protect the rights of the citizens, and at the same time you have to create, we usually refer to as ease of doing business. You have to create an environment where the businesses have to be able to thrive. Okay, you don't have businesses that are ripping off people. Okay, because if the prices of goods and services are too high, what that can lead to is it can lead to poverty. Because if people have to part with more of their money that they earn every month to survive, then they will have a little in their savings. And if they have a little in their savings, what that means that they cannot carry out projects. They cannot meet when things happen. Okay, they cannot meet emergencies. Okay, and so the role of the government at any time is to ensure that the society is suitable for individuals and the firms to interact with one another. Okay, we will take a look at that in macroeconomics when we talk about the basic things the government must be able to provide. Okay, there has to be electricity, there has to be quality education, there has to be good roads, which we talk about infrastructure, there has to be good health system. Okay, there has to be a system that takes care of the old people within the society. All right, I've mentioned security. In fact, there has to be food. Okay, food resources has to be available. People in the society must be able to feed adequately. Food must not be expensive, because if food is expensive, then very expensive for people to afford, gradually you are going to push people to the edge of poverty. Okay, so I said individuals consumes, firms produce, and the government regulates economic activities. In addition, because of scarcity, individuals are concerned with what and how to consume, while firms and the government are concerned with what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. These concepts are referred to as economic problems. Okay, so I'm sure you've also heard about the concept of economic problems. The concept of economic problems is simply saying, what are those thoughts? What are governments and the firms? What are they consistently thinking about? What are they thinking about? Oh, what do we need to produce that the people need? How do we need to produce those things or those goods or render services in such a way that it will be able to meet the needs of people? And who are we producing for? Who? Are we producing for people who have money alone? Or are we producing to meet the needs of the general population? Okay, this I refer to as economic problems. Now, based on my assertion or based on my explanation, let me now break down um, economics into micro and macroeconomics. Okay, let me break down economics into micro and macroeconomics. You see, I remember I mentioned that economics deals with scarcity. Okay, and so what can be microeconomics? Microeconomics uh, deals with how individuals and firms allocate scarce resources. Microeconomics deals with how individuals and firms allocate scarce resources. You know what scarcity is by now. Scarcity means limited resources as a result of unlimited human wants and needs. You know what resources are? Resources refers to the factors of production, which is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, right? So the microeconomics, with micro means small, small. It looks at just a sect or a part of the society. We are not looking at all the problems within the society or all the what is happening in the old economy. In micro, we are looking at how individuals, you and I, firms are businesses. How do they allocate their scarce resources? How? For individuals, the goal of individuals is for everything I buy or for anything I decide to consume, I want to have the maximum satisfaction. For anything I buy or anything I consume, I want to have the maximum satisfaction. This is what we refer to as utility. For anything I buy or for anything I consume, I want to have the maximum satisfaction. This is what is regarded as utility, which means satisfaction. While the goals of firm is to maximize profit. Okay, If you are not a non-governmental organization, one of your goals while you are in business is so that you can be able to make the most money. Okay. The most money not in cheating people, right? The society allows for monopoly, but you want to be able to make the most money so that you can be able to invest back into your company, so that you can be able to expand your business, so that you can be able to also have in terms of contributing to the society, okay, which we usually say corporate social responsibility. Okay, so the goal of individuals to maximize satisfaction, which is utility, while the goal of firms is to maximize profit. On the other hand, macroeconomics looks at the society as a whole. So under microeconomics, we'll be dealing with topics such as the theory of consumer behavior, the theory of producer behavior. We'll be taking a look at cost. We'll be taking a look at types of business organizations. We'll be taking a look at market structures, monopoly, perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly. So we would take a look at the micro aspect of the society. We won't be taking a look at all. A macro looks at or examines the society as a whole. A macro looks at the society as a whole. When I say the society as a whole, what am I referring to? We are referring to, we take a look at economic growth, we take a look at economic development, we take a look at unemployment, we take a look at inflation, we take a look at security, we take a look at everything that is happening within a society, every single thing. That's what under macroeconomics is. Okay. The objectives of macroeconomics include reducing unemployment to the barest minimum. Okay, reducing unemployment to the barest minimum. Economic growth, that's ensuring economic growth and ensuring the prices of goods and services are stable. Ensuring the prices of goods and services are stable. Those are the three key objectives of macroeconomics. So microeconomics takes a look at how individuals and firms allocate their scarce resources, and macroeconomics takes a look at the society as a whole. In fact, it also takes a look at how does the government allocate its resources in meeting its societal needs. Okay, now, what is the goal of macroeconomics? And at the same time, I'm saying that what is the goal of the leaders in a society? What must they ensure? They must ensure that unemployment is reduced to the barest minimum. They must ensure that the economy is growing. And they must also ensure that the prices of goods and services are stable, or sometimes we refer to as ensure that there is low inflation. Not extremely too low. 1%, 2% single digit inflation, not bad. All right. So, lastly, is it lastly? Let me see what else. Yeah, no, not lastly. So, and also under macroeconomics, under economics, I'll talk about positive economics and normative. Now, positive economics deals with what is, and while normative economics is what ought to be. Now, positive economics, for example, if I say uh, inflation is, unemployment is based on facts. Okay, we usually say it's free from value judgment. While normative economics is what ought to be. Inflation ought to be. You can say things like unemployment should be reduced to, or guns should be banned in the US, for example. Those are normative economics. Okay, so here I said no argument for positive economics. What I mean by no argument is because it is based on facts. All right, so if you want to put forth, if you want to falsify a positive statement, you need a fact to falsify a positive statement. Not necessarily um, uh, uh, meaning that such positive statement is false. All right, but If you feel that a positive statement is it's not appropriate, and say, oh, I think that there's a gap here. Okay, one of the things you can do is you can scientifically argue your case. Okay, you can scientifically argue your case and say, okay, if you say inflation is 10%, for example, you could go and do a scientific study to examine the inflation rate in the country for the past 20 to 30 years, and to be able to examine what are the trends and what should inflation be. So after carrying out your study, you could now say things that after carrying out my study, we found that inflation is 12% based on the fact you have presented. Okay. This is a step further when you are carrying out scientific experiments in social sciences. Okay, for normative, debate exists in normative economics because individual values or worldviews, value judgment. All right. These are some of the graphs that are used in economic models. Okay, if you see a graph that is downward sloping, it shows that there's a negative relationship between the two variables, for example, y and x. If you see a graph that is upward sloping, it shows that there's a positive relationship, positive linear relationship between the two variables, y and x. If you see a graph where x is constant and y changes, you could see that. Yeah, you could see that even if y changes, x is constant. Here, even if x changes, y is constant. You're going to see a lot of this, a lot of these graphs, for example, when we do elasticity or when we do indifference curves, you see downward sloping curves. When we do demand and supply, you're going to see some of these graphs in our study. All right. Okay. I think I have come to the end of an overview of economics. Okay, let me see what are some of the things. Okay, let me just discuss briefly about model building and theorization. In economics, models are usually constructed to solve economic issues. A model is a simplistic representation of real life situations. For example, you can ask the question, what are the major factors determining an increase in inflation in Turkey or Nigeria, for example? Then we try to construct a model to show or depict the major factors driving inflation in Turkey. As economists, we make use of data to be able to test our hypothesis. Hypothesis means a guess. Remember that we call economics a science. For economists to use scientific procedures to solve economic issues, it has to follow some procedures, and they include problem identification, hypothesis formulation, collection of relevant data stored facts, analysis and interpretation, conclusions, recommendations, limitations, suggestions for future research. Okay, so let's take our chapter overview. Individual productivity is essential for the overall progress of a nation. A free market system enables buyers and sellers to determine how they want to interact, with the government playing a minimal role in providing a suitable environment for interaction. A free market system is self-regulatory by the invisible hand, unseen forces. That's when we're discussing, that's under Adam Smith, even though I didn't go in depth for Adam Smith. The self-regulatory market stroke unseen forces are driven by the concept of self-interest. I discussed about that. Self-interest does not mean selfishness. It means that doing what is best for you with the resources that you have, which should benefit society, or it should have a positive spillover effect on the economy. The demand and supply of goods are what regulate the price in a free market. Economics is regarded as a social science because it involves the study of human behavior in the context of scarce resources and the choices that people make to allocate those scarce resources. Scarcity is the main core of economics. Scarcity means limited resources which arise due to unlimited wants and needs. Needs are necessary for survival, while wants are desires. Those things that you want, that you desire. Scale of preference is the arrangement of one need in order of importance. Resources in economics simply means the factors of production such as land, labor, capital, and enterprise. Micro examines a small aspect of the economy, while macro examines the overall aspect. Positive economics is what is, and normative economics is what ought to be. The three economic agents are individuals, firms, and the government. Okay. Individuals consume, firms produce, and the government create a suitable environment where the individuals and the firms operate. Okay, there are reviewed questions. What is economics? What is the difference between micro and macro? What is positive economics and normative? What is scarcity? What is scale of preference? What is the difference between needs and want? What are the factors of production and rewards? What kinds of graphs are used in economic models? And this you can engage for further reading. All right, so we've come to the end of your chapter 1, which is the overview of economics. Okay, in our next class or in the next video, I will pick another topic to discuss. All right, and you can feel free to leave a comment if this has been very useful for you. Okay, until I see you in the next class, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to share this for others in case it has been very beneficial to you. Bye-bye.